Welcome back. You're listening to With Intolerance, a podcast for a machinist by a machinist. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Purdy Machining, and this week I'm super happy to welcome back Chris Zapatini.
Hey man,
How's it going,
how's it
man?
going? Good. Living the dream. Living
So
the dream.
I feel like it's been forever since we've actually talked on here. Like I was trying to go back and figure out when your last episode was, but wasn't it last year?
Yeah,
Or no, I
yeah.
guess it was released in January, but it was like right at the turn of the year. So
Yeah, I was I think we recorded the book club episode was in December or yeah, it had to have been December cuz I was in Massachusetts when we recorded that.
right. Yeah, and then I released it in January.
Yeah,
But it's been kind of a whirlwind because you
so
had
much.
your trip, like,
Yeah.
it's been a crazy year, so why don't you update us on what's going on, all things Zapatini Consulting?
Oh, so good and bad is well, I'll do the personal thing first. So like I went to London for 2 weeks at the end of December to, hang out with family and friends over there. I got my entire stomach tattooed, which was cool. That was, like, 7 hours of getting, like, absolutely hammered by, like, 2 dudes in a
That was
Soho basement. Yeah,
so gnarly,
it's so
like,
and then
why you sent me that
yeah,
clip of it, and I was like, "Oh
yeah,
my god."
yeah, but it was one of those things, like, it's now or never, you know? Um, so my body was like really fucked up from that. But then the very next day, me and my cousin, we woke up at like I don't know 5 in the morning and took a train out to Oxford, where Simon is. And he picked us up from the train station, and then he took us around for the day. That was cool. Went and saw the Freddy factory, uh, and then went to gosh, I can't it's like MDBE or something, this, like, really cool shop. His dude's name Matt, I think I've talked to you about him, doing
Yeah, and then also Simon was telling me about him after his
yeah,
episode.
ins dude's, like, just doing insane stuff on hosses, it's awesome,
It's
and
very interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
I Simon was like, "You gotta get him on the podcast,"
I
so I need to reach out. I've
especially
been
especially
neglecting.
being a car guy, dude,
Yeah.
like, he he built their COVID project was a race simulator. And I think I was
That's
telling you about
badass.
this off mic. And the dude used to work for an F1 team, and his partner also used to work for an F1 team, and another person there also worked for an F1 team. And he was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, we built it, and we used the standard pedal configuration, but we changed it out because it didn't feel like an F1 car." And it's like, cool. That's a really cool experience because like who's gonna have that like
Right, yeah.
firsthand
Who
knowledge,
else can actually say,
He's
"No,
like,
this doesn't feel like the real thing?"
yeah, I needed to feel more real, more legit. Um, and so that was cool. And then I went to Switzerland and like bombed around through Switzerland. Sprinkled my grandmother's ashes all over the place. That was crazy emotional, but it was cool. Very beautiful place. I was like, I really found a love for working on trains, and so I was doing a lot of like fusion programming, like on a train, just set up and like ended up striking up a conversation with some guy because he like came up behind me. He's like, "Is that fusion?" And then we chatted for a while until his kid threw up all over himself,
Oh,
and then
no.
he had to go handle that situation. Um, and so that was pretty good. And then when I came back pretty like raring to go, and I kind of found like we've been working on this really massive project, and I thought it was going pretty well, and it ended up like not going well. It was not nearly where I thought it was going to be. Um, and we ended up having to make a personnel change from it, because it was just it was really really bad. Um, but like in the last 4 weeks, I feel like we've accomplished more than we had in the last 4 months. Luckily, we have a good relationship with the customer, and so they've been pretty understanding. Like we're fortunate that they're also doing construction on the building as a result. Or like not as a result, but like part of like this whole revamp is doing construction. So like we're working around that. Like if they were fully ready for us, we'd be so fucked. It would have been bad news bears. But that decision has made like a huge impact to our cash flow because it turned out I was spending a lot of money and not getting much return for that money. And it was like we were pretty close to like super duper close actually to like just shutting it down. Um, it was really I was it was pretty depressing January, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've both been commiserating over text that like 2023 has been kind of a rough year so far.
Yeah, yeah. I've already taken like 20 flights or something like that. I'm about to fly to Massachusetts this weekend for a customer meeting, a potential customer meeting on Monday. Like big 107 part turnkey,
Jeez.
107 individual parts. Um, so lots of cool. It's really cool. I like it. I want it bad. Um, but other than that, I mean, that project hasn't gone so well, but we've flipped it around. The cutting project that we have with the same company is going really, really well. Like, I think the lowest improvement we've seen so far is like a 38% reduction in cycle time. Um,
Jeez.
yeah, and that's like bottom end. The and like we've seen up to I think the one part we did yesterday was like a 48% reduction in cycle time. It
That
was
is killer.
and dude, honestly, like it's crazy because it's power grip and Frasia, like easy button. It's
Oh, yeah.
expensive. Like you pay for it, but here's the thing: is we're using PG-25 holders, right? And they like we set it up in Massachusetts, got it going on like a Methods MV 1000H, good machine, very surprising. For like I was impressed. It like we kind of ended up kicking the shit out of the Matsura on it. We're back on the Matsura now, so we'll beat the Methods machine for sure. Um, but like all power grip and Frasia, there got the cycle time. We got the okay to move on to the other 13 parts in this project, huge project, and we come out to California. They didn't want to initially spend the money on the tool holders, so we were gonna just use the ones that we had. But Cat in in Massachusetts, BT in California, no
Oh,
go.
jeez.
So we didn't want to buy them. They didn't want to buy them initially. So we just tried the Farion or whatever ER16 holders, and like some tools worked all right, but my main finishing tool just broke immediately. Like literally, first tool path, touch material, gone, game over. We changed nothing. We bought the BT holders, put it in, changed nothing, and it just worked. It was it was
Yeah, it's
just
crazy. I like,
yeah,
I'll the caveat I will say is, like, to anybody listening, it's not going to fix stupid programming. Like, Brad had
correct.
a quarter inch break this week, and he
Yeah,
was like, "Why the hell did that happen?" And then he looked, and he was like, "Oh, I just forgot to rough that pocket out." So it was like
yeah,
like,
yeah,
Adaptive, like, missed it for some reason, and,
yeah,
like, he just didn't notice it in the simulation because like, it all looked green, and then he was like, "Oh, yeah, shit, I'm just stupid. That's why I broke."
yeah. Yeah, it's not gonna fix it, but it definitely like I was talking to one of my other guys, who's with me in California right now. He's like in the bedroom, like hiding out, but um it's like, dang, I wonder how many things that I've tried that seem to have not worked would have worked if I had a better tool holder, you know? Because
Oh,
it
yeah.
blew their minds, and but it's like I know I know how much money, because they told me how much money the program is per year, and like the if a 30% improvement in throughput is like is millions of dollars a year more. So
Right.
it's like 70,000 in tool holders plus the money for me to make millions of dollars. It's a fucking no-brainer, dude. Like,
Right, yeah,
what are we
exactly.
talking about? Just pay me because I'm buying the tool holders. I'm giving you a 20% discount. Like, let's go. Um,
That's killer, dude. I'm really
yeah,
happy to hear that.
yeah. So what about you, man?
It has also been a rough year. Like, we started out, so typically January and February are, like, by far our slowest months. Like, we can, like, consistently the last, I mean, I think this is our 8th year, like, the last 7 years,
Yeah.
maybe 50% or 30% of the normal workload, and so we're like, "Sweet, I got all this time to do, uh, shop improvements, yada, 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 like, this is great." We took that week off for Christmas and New Year's, and then, like, not even halfway through that week off, I had customers texting me, and they're like, "So when can I start sending you work again?" And I was like,
Like,
Well, this is new, okay." And so I was like, maybe we'll see a little bit of pickup in January and February." And, like, it has been
nonstop.
nonstop, like, just insane, like, and it really all went downhill, I wanna say, like, the 2nd or 3rd week in January, we had these peak parts
The
that, like,
peak parts.
I I've machined a ton of peak in the past and never had a problem with it. It's always been really stable, really easy to hold tolerance, and, like, I don't know if it was, like, we got shitty material or I don't know what was causing it to, like, it was warping like crazy. Like, one of the parts was more or less like a quarter-inch plate that was, like, 4 by 6 maybe, or a little bit bigger than that.
The one.
Yeah, and, like, I left both of the peak parts to Brad because I was like, "Oh, these should be easy," and he's like, "Dude, I don't know what I'm doing. They're warping like crazy," and, like, on this customer, we have to hold pretty tight tolerances, like blanket tolerance, and he's like, "I can't get them to be good." And I was like, Okay, maybe he's just doing something stupid." Like,
Yeah.
we had some leftover material. I, started going down that rabbit hole. They started warping on me like crazy. I changed up my strategy like 3 different times to try to,
Whoa.
like all the mitigation that I know how to do in anything that's warping. Nothing. Scrapped the entire bar, like $500
Whoa.
for the peak or $600 for the peak right off the
Oh,
bat. I was like,
throw
"Cool.
up. Yeah.
This is gonna suck." So I buy an entire new bar, and I'm like, "All right, I'll try one more thing." And so, like, I tried, like, facing and flipping to get it to, like, thickness
Mhm.
and then cut out all the features, and even then, it just, like, fucking nope,
Yeah.
nope.
Huh.
And so then I built that, window fixture that I posted
Yeah.
on Instagram, and that was, like, kind of the idea behind it is solid. It worked really well for these parts. It should have been made out of, like, steel or something, but with
Yeah.
aluminum, bolting it down with quarter 20s, I was able what I ended up having to do is put the base down, put my piece on it, put the top on, start screwing down, and then indicate in all of the corners that were gonna sit
Oh,
on my jaws
yeah.
with the screws and kind of fight back and forth to make sure that that top, when I flip it over, was gonna be parallel to the bottom.
Ugh, brutal.
But it worked. So
Yeah.
I was like, "Cool." And then I
Yeah.
was on to the second part of that series, which is this bigger box,
Yeah.
and that went even worse than the first. Like, it was just
Man.
like, I think I scrapped, like, $1,500 in material.
Oh
Like,
my
I
god.
tried everything under the sun to hold these parts. I tried it from both sides, I tried climb cut, I tried conventional, and no matter what, the sides of this box just wanted to bow in on me, and finally, it's the only time I have ever in our history gone back to the customer and been like, "I can't make these parts to the tolerance you say."
Wow.
And he goes to their engineer and they go, "Oh yeah, we can like quadruple those tolerances. Can you make them
Quadruple,
now?"
and
And
it's
I was
like,
like,
all the parts that I just made are good, so yeah,
"Well, they
fuck you.
weren't because I was trying to hold them to nominal and like their
Oh,
new tolerance was like all plus, no
eh,
minus."
oh,
And I was
cool.
like, "Cool, okay, yeah, I can make them." And so I had to buy a new bar and cut it up and do it
Yeah,
again. And I was like, this is it was a really good learning
yeah. No,
position to
I
be
was
in.
I was about to say, knowledge is priceless, baby.
Oh, I could
Um,
I
yeah,
know the price of it this time.
yeah.
But, I mean, thankfully, like, whenever I see peak like, big, I was like, "Oh," I quoted it multiples of material costs. So, like, we
Yeah,
didn't lose our ass, but, like,
mhm,
it set us back a week and a half when we were
yeah,
already, like, super time constrained, and then since then, it has just been, like, I've been feeling like I'm drowning. Like,
y
I just cannot get my head above board, and,
yeah,
like, only in the last maybe 2 or 3 days have I gotten enough work out the door and worked my ass off to where I'm like, "Okay, I can see the end of the tunnel, like, I'm almost
nice,
there."
nice. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
good, 'cause,
now it's good. Before
yeah,
it was, like, a real dark
yeah,
January and most of February. I was like,
yeah, you're
"I
like,
don't like
"Oh,
this, I don't
I
wanna
don't."
do this."
You're like, "Why did I pick this trade? Why did I do this? This is
Yep.
crazy."
Yeah, it was definitely, like, those kind of days in the shop where I was like, I'm not the kind of person who usually, like, lives for the weekend, and, like, dude, I was like, "Oh, it's Friday, I'm going home, I can't wait," like, I it was just,
Yeah.
like, everything about it was so atypical for me, and I
Mm.
just was
Yeah.
really, really unhappy.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you're through it, because that's nothing's worse when you're like, maybe I should just give this up. Like, maybe my own business is not all it's cracked up to be.
Right.
And then you have a success and you're like, "What am I talking about? Fuck this." Like, fuck going back to, a regular job, 'cause I do, I was there in, like, December, like, huge cash flow constraint, and I'm like, maybe we do just shut it down, you know? And then these guys offered me a job as, like, a operations manager, or, like, whatever, and I was like, "Maybe," and then I was like, "Oh god." No, it just made me sad, and I was like, "No, I think I just need to work harder and figure this out. Can't can't give it up. Don't wanna give it up."
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like I don't know a single business owner who does not have those days of, like,
Oh,
"Maybe
dude.
that this was wrong, maybe I made a mistake."
Yeah, it's like, hot take, it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a
Um
reel I saw recently, it was some gymnast talking about, like, she was training for the Olympics and had, like, the 2 weeks before the Olympics was just having a terrible time, like, couldn't land any of her tricks,
mm,
was doing terrible, and she was talking to her coach, who was a past Olympic gold medalist, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, that's totally fine." And she's like, "What the hell do you mean that's totally fine?" He goes, "If you're doing something hard, it's the rule of like thirds. So like a
mhm.
third of the time you should feel fantastic, a third of the time you should feel absolutely terrible, and a third of the time you should feel about normal." And he's like, "And if it's not in the thirds, you're probably either not pushing yourself hard enough or you're way overworking yourself." He's like, "But typically that's what I see is that it's, you got about 33% of the time where you feel amazing."
That's pretty good. Yeah. I and yeah, I would agree with that. That's pretty solid when,
Yeah, it spoke to me, especially at the point that I was in. I was like, "All right,
yeah,
so I'm just in the third right now, and it
yeah,
sucks, and I'll just
yeah,
have to
you're
get
like,
through."
yeah, January, February, March. That's a quarter of the year. Just let that just suck, and then the rest of the year can just be like, "Fine, let's do
Yeah.
that."
Yeah, but, yeah, we're slowly cresting over it now. I feel like I've got one more job to finish up in the next few days, and then I'm 100% caught up and, like, back onto current work.
Lucky.
Yeah, yeah, it will feel good. It will feel
Yeah.
very good. I mean, I'm sure now that I've said that, the universe will conspire against
Eh,
me, but,
yeah, you just challenge the universe to be like, uh I mean, it's like, "Oh, shit, I'm gonna get a ton of work, and it's gonna be really hard. Dang it."
Right, exactly.
Money,
It's, like,
fuck.
so hard to complain to people or, like, to, like,
Yeah.
like, say anything, like, the people are like, "Oh, why are you feeling so depressed?" And it's like,
It's 'cause I'm
"'Cause I
making
got so
so
much
much
work."
fucking money, dude, it's terrible. Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like it's only a problem another business owner really empathizes with, where they're like, I understand. I understand the stress. I hear
it
you."
yeah, yeah. Cause like, right now, we have like, for us, it's me and 2 other guys. Um, one of my guys is gonna take, like, a really extended vacation after this project because 'cause it's been, like, kicking his ass. I mean, like, just it's is really hard, and, like, and it hasn't helped. We've had a lot of starts and stoppages. He's been away from home for a really long time. It's brutal. Um, and we've got so we have 4 major projects, 3 guys. We just got I think I'm gonna go do some work at Hadrian, soon. Um, and then I got another robo drill project like today. That's across the street or down the road from the guys I'm at right now.
Oh,
And
that's good at least.
yeah, but it's I gotta go do it on lunch and stuff, you know? Or oh, I'm just gonna pop over here real quick and go do a job. Um, and it's oh man, there's so much, but it's better to have this problem than the opposite problem, which is just twiddling your thumbs. Well, what the fuck do I do? What
Yeah,
am I gonna do?
exactly, yeah.
Um,
Well, and I'll say, like, as terrible as it is to be in that situation where you're just hating day-to-day life,
mm,
it really showed the areas in our business that, like, I'm like, "Oh, well, I can improve that," and, like, "This
yeah,
needs to be improved long term," and, like, "These need to be more organized," and, all of those weak points are just totally exacerbated and highlighted by stuff like
Yeah,
that. Where I'm like, oh, okay, I can do all of this so much better.
yeah, and that's good because now that you, like, get to normal, you have the it's like, "Oh, I can spend my free time focusing on this instead of beating my head against the wall."
Yeah, it'll be more fun that way.
Yeah, yeah. And then you'll find I mean, like, kind of interesting, like, that goes 100% back to, like, the first book we just did, like, Critical Chain and, like, the just in general, the theory of constraints, like, you things are good, you didn't need to fix anything, why would you fix it? It's fine, and then things happen, and you find all of your weak spots immediately, and now you're gonna fix those weak spots, and then you're gonna find new weak spots, and you're gonna just it's all for the better, but you're always gonna be beating your head against the wall because, like, I mean, that's just the perfection just doesn't exist. It's also the enemy of success. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
No, you're 100% right. It was I was talking to somebody about it, and, like, I was like, "Yeah, I've discovered all the fat in my business." And they were like, "How can you have fat in a business of, like, 1 or 2 people?" And I
Dude,
was like, "You come up with so many dumb ways to do things that are, like, fine when there's only 1 person in the business." And then,
mhm,
like, Brad comes on, and then he's like starts seeing me do stuff, and he's like, "Dude, you're so stupid. Why are you doing it that way?"
yeah, and, like, there's no, like, school or, like, book you could read that's like, "Do these 5 things if you own a machine shop," and, like, that's what you do, like, "This is how you quote, this is how you do this is how you do that," or whatever. It's just like, "Well, this is how I think I should do this," and then you do it, and now you guys are both full-time, which is sick, it worked, and, like, now you gotta go back and be like, because like, your paperless parts, "Oh, have you, how's the Asana thing going? Have you done it or no?"
So
I guess
I have a draft. I'm
okay.
kind of stalled right now. I think I'm probably doing the whole perfection is the enemy of, or what is it? Good, great is the enemy of good, or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Where like I'm trying to put too much intelligence into this because
yeah,
like what I want to do is I want to create duplicates of all of the programming steps
mm,
based on how many machining sides paperless detects,
okay,
and
sure,
the data is there, but I can't find a way in Zapier to use that number to duplicate a step a certain number of times. And so like
I gotcha.
that's as far as I got, but now like I have it now. If I turned it on today, my next order it would populate it into Asana, pop in the order or material ordering step, pop in the tooling ordering step, and then pop in one programming step.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's solid.
It's getting there.
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
kind of thinking that maybe what I should just do is just like populate 4 ops worth of programming, and then I can just go in and delete them if I know that there's less.
that's what we do, is just have, like, we fluctuate back and forth depending like, right now we have 3 different types of projects, which is, like, like, we had one generic, generic template that we would use to, like, fire up a proposal, which was like just a project and it was phased. But now we do like a straight up project, a retainer proposal, because we have a couple retainers right now. Where people pay us like per month just to have us on staff essentially, and then hourly contract programming. And so like depending on what those projects are, it like depends on how full the template is in Asana. So like the project the phased project is it just follows a playbook, like we follow like and we go that way. It fills out all the steps that we need that like basically happen. Like you design stuff, you cut stuff, you do the thing. Where like but like hourly is like empty, you know like
Right,
there's
right.
it's just tasks, and that's
Right,
all there
yeah.
is. Like what
Program this part. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's like almost doesn't need to be there, but it does need to be there
Right,
kind
yeah.
of thing. And
I will
so
say for anyone listening who's thinking about Asana and is like, "Oh, I don't wanna pay for it," I found out that if you're using Zapier to populate tasks, you don't need the paid version because you're not using a
mm,
template. Zapier is your template.
nice.
So, like, Asana just it sees it as somebody sitting there hitting create task, blah, blah, blah.
That's
So as
good.
long as I use that, I don't really have to pay for it either. Like, I mean, if I
Nice.
need, more functionality or like, the charts or something like that, then I can pay for it. But at least to start out, I can have full functionality for what I want with zero cost.
That's sick. That's really nice. 'Cause, like, there are some cool like, the portfolios are cool, and when you pay for it, because you, like, just you can see all your projects in one spot and, like, track the tasks and track the progress, blah, blah, blah. It's sick, but you don't like that's nice. That's a
Right.
nice to have, not a need to have.
Well, I told you I tried to pay for it and it freaking wouldn't let me.
Yeah,
It wouldn't take my money. I'd put
and
in my stuff and I'd hit
and it's
like
like,
pay and it would just be like, nah.
mm-mm,
I'm
no,
like,
no, no.
okay, fine.
I've been having that problem a lot lately, like, if I try and buy stuff on my phone, it's just not working, and I have to, like, go to my Lappy and, like, purchase stuff, and it's like, I don't under I'm missing something, I know I am.
Right.
Ugh,
You're like, can you just take my money? Like I'm
yeah,
I'm willingly giving it to
I'm
you right now.
trying to buy this thing. Like,
Ugh,
let's
yeah.
go.
Nothing is more frustrating.
Oh my god. Um, so so what's going next, like, I don't know, let's say Q2, what are you looking to do in Q2? Like, you got anything good on the horizon, or is it just like keep your head above water and
No,
do
no,
the
no.
best?
Now that I see the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm feeling this whole time I will say like I've been pushing like, okay, I have to do all of this stuff now that I see how terrible it can get.
Mm,
So, let's see. I built a list of all of our standardized tooling with stick out and holders and all of that. And so we're slowly going to start buying all the PG holders we're missing for that because we're just going
nice.
to put all of our standard tools and PG stuff, and
Makes
except
sense.
for like chamfer mills. I
Put
think I've got,
everything.
huh?
I said put everything. Every tool that I have. The engraver, PG 25, baby.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that balling yet. I'll
Yeah,
get there.
yeah,
But I have all the part numbers. I've built all of the holders in Fusion now, so I can use them. So I need to finish buying all the PG collets and holders for that. Um, I need to build out my fourth axis single sided trunnion so we can start using that workflow. I
mm,
just bought all of the fittings to finish up the TSC in the F600. So I'll have two machines finally with TSC instead of just one. And then I need to work with my post editor pretty soon here on that whole tool setting standard tool macro stuff that I was telling you about. I don't want to go into it too much until I know it's actually feasible.
yeah.
Because otherwise I might just sit here and explain something for 10 minutes or 8 minutes that is complete bullshit. But
What? Well, let's talk about. I mean, you said the magic word, which is macro. So, like, I need you to. I can't. I'm racking my brain. I can't remember what we talked about right now.
okay, so it's not. I don't know if it's macro. So what I plan to do, and we'll see if this works, is I want to flag tools in Fusion as standard or not, or yeah, just as standard. So
Mhm.
anything that is not flagged as standard will be a non-standard tool.
Sure.
And then I will have a cascading post in Fusion. So it'll post out the normal program as it would off of whatever work coordinate. But then it will also post out a second program that has the tool list,
Mm,
shows all the ones that are standard, and any of the ones that are not standard, it will bring up that empty pocket in the machine. Because like to load a tool in the brothers or robo drills, you have to be 3, or I don't remember what it is in robos,
yeah.
5 or something.
Yeah.
So it'll bring that up, M0. You'll load the tool, hit go, it'll set that tool, bring up the next one you need to load, and like, it will tell you, "Okay, load tool 15, load tool 17."
Hmm.
So, basically, like, all of the setup will be done more or less automatically.
Mm, I like that. That's cool. Yeah, we did talk about that. Um, you ever shoot? I feel like there's like a semi. I mean, I don't know if there's like if you could do that with one post, but like a good intermediate step. One of the functions that I've found I really like in Fusion right now is like how you have like in the manufacturing tab, like right above the setups is the NC programs drop down, and like the work that I've been doing for the guy in Idaho, because like we'll have like 4 setups, like probing for one vice, probing for the other vice, cutting for one vice, cutting for the other vice, and you can select all four and just wrap that into one NC program. You kind of do the
Right.
opposite of that, I guess, which is like if you had a special post as an intermediate step to the perfect one that just gives you that macro, you know?
Right, well, what that's so if you go into NC programs, you'll see at the top left your post,
Yeah.
and then underneath it, it actually says cascading post, I think, and I
Cascading post.
believe that means you can double post the
Ooh.
same NC program or,
Yeah.
like, double post the same setup with 2 different posts, and so that's kind of the other thing I wanna add to the cascading post is I want to drive probing from my Lang 0 to where the part 0 would be. So, like, run it off of, I don't know, 54.1 P1
Yeah.
and then set G54 with that one, and then
Mhm.
my whole program will run out of just G54 and be completely agnostic to the Lang 0 point.
Yeah. That's well, s oh, that's a you can do that right now, can't you? Or no?
I can with the Bloom macros because Bloom is, like, all incremental, so I can drive it off of anything and then just have it rewrite a different work coordinate,
Yeah.
and a Renishaw is a little more s picky about that.
Yeah. Yeah, Renishaw is pickier than that. The Renishaw stuff is, like, it doesn't set I mean, to be fair, it does, like, in Idaho like, the other day when I was in Idaho, this was, like, one of my biggest successes ever, and, like, for Fusion 2, like, I built a little manufacturing system that does stuff like that, kinda, except we're with the Renishaw, so we don't really get quite the setting the workpiece, um, thing. It just kind of sets it to, like, where the original was, but, like, we did 47 setups in 3 days. Um,
So killer.
Dude, it was, like, 30 total hours, and, like, we were just cranking. I'd done most of the programming beforehand, so I came with the programs, but, like, we just cranked and cranked and cranked and cranked and, like, built his whole product in 3 days from nothing. Um, but we did that, like, with, the setting it in the corner, like both his vices, we have the top right corner as the work offset for the vice, and then and that's G54 and G55, and then the material that it's cutting is G50. Like it's kind of the opposite of what you're talking about, but like the same idea, where like it's P1 and P2 for the actual cutting thing. And what we found is like it is kind of weird. Like your numbers are really fucked up because the with Renishaw, it's like it's the work coordinate is still the corner and the material is like where it is.
Right,
But
yeah.
it did still probe it and it did still find it and it adjusted the work offset in the corner to be in the correct position for where it thinks the material is, and you still make good parts, you know?
Right, right,
Um,
right. Yeah. No,
and like
and realistically, I could do that too. You know,
yeah,
I that would be probably the s
you can do it right now, like literally right
I
now.
mean, I could do either one of them right now.
Yeah,
It Doing it that way is probably, like, the smarter way, like, the less human way of just, like, it doesn't matter where the work offset is.
yeah,
But the whole point is that, like, you know, I do have to look at the code, and it would be nice if, like, you know, my center of the part is my 0. It would be nice if it makes sense that, like, it's going to negative a couple hundred thou and not, like,
yeah.
X5.
And you're like,
Like,
huh, that's weird. And
yeah.
um, it is one of those things, you know, like perfection is the enemy of success, baby. Uh,
Definitely.
there's special posts that are cascading posts. The post has to be a cascading post. I'm trying to. I'm messing. I just clicked that checkbox and it's yelling at me.
Uh-oh.
When I when the post has to be a special cascading post. It just kept telling me that one doesn't cascade. That one doesn't cascade. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, and realistically, if I can't do it as a cascade, then I'll just do it as a post option box.
Mhm.
Like, I'll have just an option box that's like, you know, turn on setup documentation, and then I'll have, like, one that's like post to write tools, post to write probing or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I guess realistically, with even with a Renishaw one, if you wanted to do it, you could just have your post write G10 lines based on the CAD to where it should be pushing G54 or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. that's a not so bad way to do it. That's what Selway sets up their Camplete for the Metzers, their NC format, um, that way. So when you do post out your probing, it's like basically in the right spot. It works out. Um, but yeah, like it was for this guy, I was like, he can't read the code anyway, you know? Like it's not like a he knows, like he is very successful solar installation dude. Um and like built up like 100-person business, got tired of having that many employees, sold it, made a bunch of money, like bought a mini like but during that spun off this other company that builds solar installation tools, Solar Tool USA, and uh has been like sourcing, and then he was like, "I'm tired of this. I'm gonna put a machine in my garage." And so he's got a mini mill in his garage, which is like hilarious and it's awesome because I'm like in his garage. We're there for like 10 hours. His kids like working on the bicycle behind us. Dogs there, you know. He's like in a sleeveless t-shirt on like a Sunday or whatever. Uh, and it just
That's
like,
amazing.
yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, he gives me like I don't have a car in Idaho, so he just like gives me a ride to where I need to go. When we're done, it's like cool. Um, but yeah, like so he like bought the machine because he just like recognized like I want to control this more than anything, and so like as long as it makes good parts, he just like puts the material in the vise. That's like one of the biggest things I was like, I'm so impressed with Fusion here because it's like just put the material generally in the vise and just gotta be within like half an inch of center, you know? And the probe's gonna come out, it's gonna find it, and it's gonna make a good part. Like every time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all post and go, no hand editing whatsoever out of Fusion. Like I
That's the
was like,
way. That is
whoa.
the way for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it took a little bit of figuring, like, but not a ton actually. Like Fusion just makes everything so fucking easy. Like today, we sped up one of his tools and it worked, and we cut like a lot of cycle time out, but then it killed the tool life, so we had to change it. So I just went in like while he was explaining it to me on the phone, because I'm in his Fusion project, so we're sharing the files. I like update the. I'm like, all right, we're good now. Just post it, and done. I
Yeah.
changed it. He has the change. He posts it, puts it in the machine, good to go. Like,
That's, like, the best part of it, I think, for me is, like I mean, not only being able to work at home and at the shop without having to have, like, a VPN or something, but
mhm,
also I mean, I've probably got 4 or 5 different share folders from different friends who are like, "Hey, can you take a look at this? Hey, can you
yeah,
take a" and it's like, "Yeah, I'll jump in for 2 minutes and figure
yeah.
something out maybe and send it back."
And here it is. I just did that with no, we don't have a share folder, but like servant solutions.
Yeah, yeah, you said
Um,
you were helping him with his post or something?
yeah, that was my first time editing a Fusion post. Um, I was like, sure, I'll take a look. Um, I was thinking that there might have been a checkbox, but like for some reason the RoboDrill defaults to an AC. And I think technically no. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense that it's AC because like every RoboDrill almost always is set up with a coma table where it's a BC table.
Right.
So it's like, what asshole fucking did this? Um,
Yeah, I don't know
but
because the only ones I've seen with cross table, trunnions are 4th axis, they're not 5th axis, like,
yeah,
for the E plus and stuff.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just at a RoboDrill, my RoboDrill project in Hayward. They have a DDR that's like fucking this high off the table for some reason. Um, and yeah, I mean that's A all the way, baby. Or like a Matsura MX, like you see the MXs, or like a Haas Trunnion is in the A, but like I don't know, RoboDrill I've never seen it in the A. I guess that just kind of gives you an idea of how many people are using RoboDrills, uh, Fusion and RoboDrills for
Right.
5-axis stuff.
Yeah.
So he asked me, and I was like, I would have always just used Camplete for 5-axis. Um, but we'll give it a go, and it worked, I think. I mean, it posted out a B, you know? I don't know if that's correct or not. It's like, I can't cut it, so we'll see what happens.
Right.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
fingers crossed. Um,
From what I remember, axis substitution is not too terribly hard in those posts because I remember when I first brought HSM Works into my last job, there was not even a RoboDrill post that was really worth a damn. And so we were
wow.
trying to do fourth axis
Yeah.
stuff and it was like completely invalid. So I had to go in and turn on the fourth axis in the post. And I was
Oh
like,
my
oh,
god.
it was just like a basic Fanic post. It wasn't a RoboDrill
Mm,
post. So I was like, cool, this is gonna be fun.
yeah. Yeah, the robo drills, like, it's funny because it's different than every other FANUC control. Like, it is FANUC, but, like, requires a G49. Um, like, I think one of the things he had texted me about or whatever is, like, he's like, "It's doing this and it won't move anymore." And it's like, "Oh, you're pre-calling tools. It can't pre you can't pre-call tools on that machine. It's just not gonna work." 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, I have a tool in the spindle. I'm trying to get this other one to come over here." You think it would just, like, skip it.
Right.
Like
Right.
like,
Exactly. I
on
know
the
a lot of machines that if they don't have the tool arm, they just skip it. I'm
yeah.
surprised that.
Yeah, the Haas Mini Mill does it. And it's like, gosh, you guys are so embarrassing. You have such a better machine and, like, you just make it look like shit by
Well,
doing stupid stuff.
with the way Fanic works, it could just be a parameter flip too. Like
Yeah,
that's what like
cheap
shocked me
relay.
so much is because one thing I love about the brothers is they don't over travel; they just
Mhm.
stop.
It's
And
a
when we got
parameter. Yeah,
yeah, when we got our last Matsura at my last job, like the tech, I was like saying something about that, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I can do that on here too." And he like changes it. I was like, "Why is this not standard on every
yeah,
single? Why would you want an over travel situation? I don't
yeah.
understand that."
Yeah, because it's not like you're turning off the soft limit or changing it or whatever. You just make it not stop an alarm, and it's like, yeah. Sometimes, like, some machines just do it, like, hardly any builder turns it on. It's
Yeah, and it makes
so
no sense to
fucking
me.
weird. Yeah,
Right.
why? Another one that's weird is, like, on the you see this on RoboDrill sometimes where they get, like, the 5th axis table gets set up as, like, dogged instead of dogless. And so, like, you'll go to home it, but it's, like, too far past, and so it's like, "Oh, so you want me to go, like, further down, like, all the way around?" And it's like, "No, I don't want you to do that. Why would I want you to do that?" And it's like and it'll, like, hard alarm itself, and it's
Uh
like,
huh.
"What the fuck just happened?"
Right. And that's like some old machine shit. Like we had
Yeah.
old Matsuras at my last job where if you were too close to the limit switch, it would just blow right by them and then hard limit out on like Z
Dude,
homing. So you had to
that's
make sure the head was like in the middle of the travel
my
before you homed it.
my Metzer does that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
figured yours must because yours is
I
that
was like
same age, like
I
where it's
was
just like,
like
why the hell? What are you
yeah.
doing?
And it's like, cause I was pretty close, it missed it the first time, and I moved it, like, I was like, "Oh, I'll just home it again," and it was like, "Whoa." It's like, oh, dude, that thing's also I'm so fucked on that thing. It's such a like, I bought it for, like, 6 grand. It needs like a $12,000 draw bar or something,
No.
yeah. So I'm trying to, like, work some deals out or whatever to, like, get like, trade work for the part or something with
Oh,
Subway. But yeah, I was like, so it works. Like, it changes pallets and, like, when it holds a tool, it it holds it well, but, like, and it's really fucking fast and it has macros. Like, I'm actually, like, very impressed with the machine, 15,000 RPM spindle and stuff, but, like, sometimes it doesn't grab the tool and it's just, like, flopping around in the taper,
oh
and
no.
the even, like, you can't release it either. It just, like, is sitting there. Like, I I was like, "Oh, it won't come out," and I spun the tool off the pull stud, um, and I was like, "Oh, that's a weird one." So I put it down and then turned the machine off, turned it back on, and then pushed the tool release button, and it just dropped the pull stud out of it, and I was like, "This is fucked." Oh my god.
Ooh.
But,
So are the Belleville washers just cracked? Like it just
it's
doesn't
the
have any draw
that
force
was
anymore?
that was a lie. when somebody told me that, they were like, "Oh, yeah, we just replaced the bevel washers," and they're like, "No, that's not like," they're like, "That's not a thing on this machine." Um,
Really?
yeah, that's what I thought too, and they're like, "No, that's not how we're doing it. That's the whole draw tube,
Ugh,
the whole drawbar." I'm like, "Well, okay, alright, I guess we'll figure that out." It's like,
right.
I like
Whenever you need it, that's when you'll pay for that one.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I was like, well, I guess, for another day." Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
crazy one. Um, yeah,
Oh,
fuck.
dude, that's
Uh,
rough.
yeah, so that was like that was a cool it's like, we're broke, dude, so I'm like, "Oh, man, that's a bit of an expense. I guess we'll just back burner it. Gotta get through some other projects first,
Yeah.
but we're okay. We're doing
Yeah, I'm
alright."
glad it sounded like a very uncomfortable discussion to, like, go down that path and, like,
Oh,
all of that, but, like, I'm really glad that, like, you have
yeah,
come through the other side of it and seem, like, a lot,
um
happier about all this.
yeah, yeah, it's one of those things, like, there's a couple things that happened that were, like, really brutal, like, personal like, one of them was I mean, because everybody that works for me is my friend, so having to, like, essentially let one of them go was, weird, but the circumstances under which it happened was, like, made it really easy, and then my other buddy who's gonna go on, like, an extended vacation, for a while, that one, like, it just felt like and we'll probably get into this more on the extreme ownership episode of just, like, how that made me feel, like, as an owner and, like, a leader and stuff, and it's like, I just really fucked this up, and stuff, and it's like, "Fuck," but ultimately, everything from, like, a business cash flow perspective is very positive because it does, like the first guy going down reduced my overhead by, like, almost 20%. The next guy who I mean, like, he's not gone. He's just taking a break. So, but that will give me time to, like, put in a lot of work and make a lot of money, um, or hopefully make more money when, like, the overhead is much lower to, like, get us into a more cash positive position. And then when, like, he's ready to come back, then, like, we'll be good, won't tank us or whatever, like, because 'cause we're getting by right now, it's fine, but it's like the company's living paycheck to paycheck, and that's annoying, and that's just kinda where it is right now, it's like, there's money there, like, I know it's there, it's just chasing money is my least fucking favorite thing in the world, and it's, like, half my job where I'm just like, "Can you please fucking pay your bills?" And they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize in your contract that it was that you're gonna penalize us after 15 days. We put you on net 30." And it's like, "I'm going to fucking penalize you after 15 days." Like, they're like, "Oh, we didn't realize the
You're like
contract that we
1
signed
hour
had
over
ter"
15 days, and I'm coming for your ass, like
Yeah, and it's like, "Oh, well," like, we got into a situation recently where I was like, "I've invoiced you twice. I'm about to invoice you again. Like, if I invoice you a third time without the first one getting paid, I'm going to walk away." And they were like, "Money, right in the account." And it's like,
there you go.
"Cool." Yeah, but it's like, why are we here?
Right.
Like, what is the fucking deal, man?
Well, it's
Like,
always big companies too, like,
it's
that's the
it's like,
worst
dude,
part of it.
it's my name it's like, this is my whole fucking life, dude. Like, come on. Like and yeah, it's like this yeah, you have like an 8600 million billion dollar company that's just like to them, 5, 10, $20,000 is like nothing. It's like, yeah, it's payroll, baby. Can we like get on this?
Right,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, you're like, "I understand that I'm nothing to you, but, like,
yeah,
this
you're
is
but
how I
you're
live."
everything to me, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
fucking cry about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely been there, but it's never the small guys, like, the small guys, like,
No.
they're like, "Oh, you want cash today?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, sure."
Yeah, that's dude, that's like the solar guy. And this is like I was bringing this like when I was texting you about it like recently, like there's a book, The Pumpkin Plant, which I think we should cover, which is like the whole thing is, and like I can summarize it really well right here because I've been just going through this a bunch, which is just like the whole thing about saying no to people and fostering the good and like you don't need to treat every customer the same way because um, and it's okay to say no to people. Like, and saying no to people and oftentimes is good because it allows you to foster the companies that you actually need to be working on, right? And like the guy came up with the principle and why it's called the pumpkin plan from the previous book he was writing, where he somehow ended up like talking to people that grew award-winning pumpkins, and the thing he realized, he's like, oh, this guy's trying to grow an 800-pound pumpkin. He's not treating every pumpkin like it's an 800-pound pumpkin. If they're dying, he kills them, and he just treats them like normal, you know. um it's and that's good, and it's like, so like, suffering no fools in 2023, getting stable, like just like you just don't fuck yourself and
Yeah.
stuff. uh yeah.
And it's scary. Like, it's scary to do that in business when you're on your own, is like,
Yeah, but,
say no to things.
yeah, but once you get to a certain point where it's like, I'm either gonna succeed or I'm gonna fail, right? So it's like, I might as well, if I'm gonna go out, I might as well go out on my own terms, you know?
Right. Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's like, oh man, I just dealt with like an unhinged lunatic, who was a buddy of mine, and like was keyword, but he had a machine. I put HWR stuff on his machine. Um, and then he was begging me to do work for him. He's like, I'll pay, I'll pay. And I was like, okay, fine. So I did some work for him. And then he's like, I can't pay. I
Oh,
was like,
no.
oh, and then he was like blaming his business going out, like blaming his business failing on me and like all this other stuff. And he was like, yeah, you can come get the HWR stuff when I'm ready. And I was like, all right. And he's like, I defaulted on the machines, by the way. And I was like, oh my God. Like he was making.
Oh.
But then he keeps cutting. He didn't default on the machines. He just said that. He keeps cutting. And then he starts hitting me up because he's having problems and he needs help. And I was like, I don't know what your problem is, buddy, but I'm gonna come get my stuff, you know? And he's
Right.
like, wow, I can't believe this. I'm so fucking pissed about this. And it's like, dude, you're like, what is happening? It's like, I just want my things, you know, just want my stuff. That's
Right.
all.
Yeah.
Like I don't have time for this. Uh yeah. It was
Yeah,
it was
that's enough to
really
make your blood boil, like,
I was fired up. I was real fired up. But I got my stuff, and, for the most part, it was amicable. I gave him a box of Girl Scout cookies. He wasn't there when I picked it up, but I have I bought 24 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. I think I have, like, 18 left or something like that, so I've just been handing these fucker things out. Um, uh
"You're fired as a customer, here's some cookies, see you later."
Yeah. Yeah, have fun. Um, shit. Yeah. Yeah. I think ultimately, like, I think we're on like like we were texting about us being on like a similar trajectory, which hopefully by like the middle of the year we're in like a, okay, I don't have to like work every weekend. I don't have to, like, I can if I want to. Like right now, I have to make money, and you have to make money, and it's like it'd be kind of cool if we didn't have to.
Right.
Like maybe
Yeah, like, I'll
maybe
still
take like
probably
one off.
choose to, but the choice
Yeah.
part is the part I'm
Yeah,
looking forward
I
to.
want the choice. Yeah, it's like, what's that, the meme that goes around? It's like, "God, I didn't wanna work a 9 to 5 job, so I decided to work 24/7 instead."
Yeah, exactly. Uh, oh, so you were asking about, Q2 this year. The other thing we really wanna do is move. Like, we're still looking
Yeah,
for a
I mean,
place to move to.
oh gosh,
Um,
I was hoping because I remember you saying, I was looking back through our texts and you said, like, you might have found like, Brad might have found a spot, but
so
then
I'll go through all of the places we've looked at so
yeah,
far because it has just been, like,
a wor
just insane.
nightmare.
So everyone knows, you talk to almost anybody in real estate right now, industrial real estate, and the market is softening. So
Mhm,
we were like, okay, people should be amenable to like working with us. Like we're an established business, blah, blah, blah. First place we find was like more space than we wanted. Like we want between 2,500 and 3,000 square feet. Um,
mhm.
First place we found was like 4,000 square feet, was like more than we really wanted. But I was like, we can grow into it. It's really close. It was like one street over from the shop.
Oh, cool.
Um, Yeah, and so I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be perfect." And then so I get there, and first off, the real estate agent is, like, the most deadpan, like, gives no shits, like, did not even really wanna be there with me, and
Cool.
he's like, "Alright, well, we can walk in and, like, go check it out," and, like, we go, like, walk through this whole thing, and it's mostly office, like, we would have to demolish probably 1 or 2 of the offices to get more shop space. Has, like, 400 amps of three-phase. I was like, "This is dope. This is exactly what I
Yeah.
want." Talking to the guy, the plate it was currently a, like, heating and cooling company that I guess was their contract was through May, but all they needed was 2 weeks to fully vacate. Like, everything
Mhm.
was basically empty, and as we're leaving, I'm like, "Alright, so, like, what are you guys looking for in terms?" And then he's like, "Oh, we want a 3-year lease minimum." I was like, "Okay, well, not really what I want, but maybe, okay."
Long time.
And then I was like, "What can we do? Like, this is gonna cost me, like, 8 to 10 grand to move in here and, like, redo everything so we can actually work here. Like, are you guys will you, give us a couple months of rent abatement and then tack them
Mhm.
on at the end, make it like a 39-month lease or something?
Yeah.
Or will you do a build out allowance or something like that?" And he's just like, "No, no." He's like, "I don't think the landlord will do that. Like, we've got these people until May, so, like, why would we give you free months of rent when we've got money through May?" And I was like, "Yeah, but you want a 3-year lease. Like, that's
Yeah.
super short-sighted." He goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm just telling you what the landlord's gonna say." And I was like, "Okay, then I guess we're
Yeah.
done here. Like,
Yeah.
see ya."
It's like, "Can I talk to the landlord? Because this is
At that
ridiculous."
point, I was like,
Yeah.
"Nope,
Yep.
this is just not gonna happen." And then the second place we found, we thought was perfect. It was like 2 suites in a business park, 2,400 square feet, mostly warehouse, 1 kind of big office, maybe like 500 square foot or 400 square foot office, 200 amps of three-phase or 300 amps, something like that. Finally talked to the leasing agent, and he goes, "I don't know, I'll have to ask the landlord. They're really particular. They don't want any, like, loud businesses in this business or in this suite." And I was like,
Mm.
"Okay."
Yeah.
And then he comes back and goes, "Yeah, the land," and then on top of that, I was like, "Oh, well, tell the landlord, like, we're willing to split the cost of, like, sound deadening all the walls then."
Yeah.
And he comes back and goes, "Yeah, the landlord doesn't wanna do any of that." He's like, "Despite," like, he was actually upset. He was like, "Despite all of the need currently in Tucson being industrial, he wants to keep this office and doesn't wanna do anything about it." I was like,
Oh, that's so crazy.
"Okay."
Yeah.
And then we thought we found another place that was really close to the shop, but it turned out to be zoned wrong. Like, it was perfect. Like, they were, like, double bay suites, currently, like, just finishing construction, and we talked to them, and they're like, "Oh, we'll build it out however you want. Wherever you want the bathrooms, we'll put them in. AC everywhere, sure." And then, like, yeah, we find out, oh, it's zoned C1, which is, like, manufacturing can't even be an auxiliary use.
Oh.
Like, it's just 0 manufacturing, and I was like,
Uh,
"Cool, cool." So, yeah,
yeah.
Cash CNC was asking about, like, the do's and don'ts of leasing. Right now, like, I really have found out basically just, like, I can't find, industrial property,
Yeah.
and then everything I've found, I've also found out that, like, most of the stuff around here is triple net leasing,
Uh-huh.
which means you are responsible for what is it?
Landscaping, I
No,
think.
it's property taxes,
Okay.
insurance, and all building repairs.
Oh,
That's the triple net.
the worst one.
So it's
Yeah.
like all of the downsides of owning a business or of owning a piece of land with
Yeah.
0 of the upsides.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Seems
"Cool."
pretty tight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds awesome. I mean, it's
Yeah.
awesome for the landlord. I see why they're doing it, but, like,
Yeah.
yeah, at this point, we're just like, I mean, I'm on, like, LoopNet every day looking at stuff. I'm on, like, Craigslist. I'm on all the websites just like, "Alright, we gotta find something." And we will. I know, but, like, it's frustrating. It's really
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah. So you guys have been looking for a long time.
Yeah, and seriously looking for at least a couple months now, and, like, I didn't think it would be that hard. And if we wanted to, like, move the shop completely across town, there's a ton of suites open in some other business parks, but, like,
Yeah.
that would make Brad's commute probably, like, an hour and 20 minutes,
Oh my god.
and, like, mine, like, an hour or 45 minutes or something like that in rush hour. I'm like, "I'm just not doing that." Like, I'll just stay stuck in my tiny hole for now and then
Yeah.
find some other place.
Yeah, maybe clear some of the projects out or something and you'll be good to
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
We got 3 machines in there now. I don't did we have all
Yeah.
3 when you were at the shop?
Yeah, you had all 3.
Alright.
Yeah. And then, like, half the thing was still, like, engines or whatever.
Yeah, we probably have 4 engines in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we will find another place. We need to because I wanna buy a CMM this year and then a 5-axis in the next year and a half or so, something like that.
Yeah. 3 months, you know?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it in my head as the stretch goal for, the end of the year next year.
Well,
If it happens sooner,
you
fantastic.
you buy it now, and then by the time it shows up, you'll have a place, it'll be good, you know? Yeah.
I don't know if it's quite if you
It's
build it,
called
they will they'll
it's
you
called
know.
manifesting, dude. You just gotta manifest it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So,
Um,
yeah.
let's see, Pearson Work Holding was asking what are our favorite or our go-to mini clamping solutions, like Mighty Bite, Fixture Work, stuff like that.
I am a big fan of, Mighty Bites. I use them a lot. Um, the, like, baby little pit bulls are awesome. The blunt nose baby pit bulls do wonders. The if you can fit it, like, I've had pretty good success with the little expansion pins, are good. I don't know, like, how small we're talking here. Um, and I mean, shit, dude, like, vacuum I've been falling in love with vacuum a lot recently. Have seen really good success with a combination of, like, vacuum and Mighty Bites,
Yeah,
to, like, keep the thing from shifting around. Um, but yeah, I go like, Mighty Bite's probably my go-to. Um, there's, like there's not a huge I mean, I guess I haven't done a ton of research, but, like, I mean, 5th Axis makes, like, this little baby dovetail,
I've
fixture
used
that's
those.
fucking adorable. Like, it's crazy. That looks like it would work really well.
Yeah, I've had never even heard of Fixture Works until he asked me, but if I had to guess, I bet you this is the place that supplies McMaster with a lot of like, the serrated grippers and, like, work
Mm,
positioners and stuff. It
y
looks very similar.
yeah, I've never used them. I've seen this before. I typically like, for stuff like this, I typically go to Carlane,
Yeah, yeah,
honestly.
that's who I've
That's
used more for this kinda stuff as well.
yeah, but I like, a lot of it is, like, damn near identical. Um, and, yeah, I haven't used, like I mean, Destaco clamps occasionally, uh, some
I've
of
always
these, like,
wanted a reason to use Vectech pneumatic clamping.
Vectech.
Have you
Oh,
seen
I
those?
think so.
So they actually make their own stuff, but they also make actuation systems for Mighty Bites or, like, really
Oh,
any screw-in clamp.
okay.
And so, like, you can
Oh,
use pneumatics or hydraulics to actuate Mighty Bites.
that's the worst website ever. Um,
It is indeed. I'll send you
on
they have, like, a video from, like, 8 years ago of, like,
yeah.
a clear plexiglass base with a bunch of Mighty Bites in
Mm.
it, so you can actually see the lines going to all of them,
Oh,
and
that's
then, like, it was,
cool.
like, one knob that you turn, and it activated 10 clamps at the same time.
That is awesome. Um, there's 2 things, like, I've really wanted to try, and I haven't had a reason to, and they're not small tool stuff, but the, like, Elijah tooling, that, that, like, wonky bolt thing that they have, the inverted bolt,
Yeah.
invertible or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I've really wanted to find a reason to use those. I got really close to using them once, and I was like, "God, that is perfect." And it never happened. It just didn't go through. And, Blue Photon is another
Blue
one that I
Photon would be sweet.
really actually might end up using that on a project that I'm quoting,
Oh, sweet.
for a like a Cublex or something. The parts look like an ice cream cone. It's really bizarre. Um, Mm. yeah, so small I mean, small stuff. The cop out answer is, like, it really depends on what the part looks like, you
Right.
know? It's
I mean, I
super
I
hard.
feel like Mighty Bite just has so much
They got the
market.
juice, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've just got so much market share that at this point, like, if a similar clamp exists, I probably won't know it by any other name than
It
Mighty Bite.
yeah, yeah. Um, and I guess, like, my pro tip is, which isn't that much of a pro tip, which is just, like, helicoil every Mighty Bite fixture you have.
Yeah,
'cause, it's a nightmare otherwise.
yeah.
You're gonna be doing it at some point anyway, so just start there.
Well, I
Um,
think the best thing I've seen it was, what, like, Chris Fox does, where instead of helicoiling the fixture, he has drop-in seats that he
mhm,
machines for
mm,
the pit bulls,
yeah,
and so that way, if you, like, take out the pit bull because you're, like, careless with programming or something, you don't have to
yeah,
redo your entire tombstone, you just, like, replace the little seats with the Mighty Bite.
I like that a lot. That's good. That is
Yeah,
good.
it's pretty sweet.
I guess a shout out to Pearson real quick is like I've been working on a lot of projects recently that either that like require Pearson E or they're already using it and they're like asking me to like design fixturing around it. Also I was looking into like work holding market share stuff recently and like their name comes up a lot. It's really cool to see. Um
Yeah.
but
Jay and their team, they do a great job.
yeah, they're crushing it. Absolutely crushing. Who's this multitask CNC probing and thermal comp?
Yeah, I don't
What
know what he
was
wants us to, talk about that. I mean,
um
we both use probing. We were talking about it earlier. We both use probing a bunch,
yeah.
for sure.
The thing like some machines and like I think I don't know if Renishaw has it, but I know like I can speak on a RoboDrill. Like RoboDrill has a table in it, right? And like there is a cycle you can run with the probe where it'll just run for like hours, right? It'll just like do some things and then come over, probe something, come over, probe something, and then it like deprints out a table and then will give you a value based on like how the machine grew during that time to
Oh, that's
put
cool.
and it's based on probing data. So you have like a nice tooling ball and just like runs the machine, but like not with like, I don't know, in some way. And then at the end of it, it'll come probe. And at the end of it, it'll come probe. And so it'll actively check how the machine is growing and then give you the number to pop into your table so that it then knows how the machine is going to grow over X amount of hours. Um, and like thermal comp is thermal comp's a big conversation because like some like where the RoboDrill has it, but it's just doing it with math. It has no sensors.
Right.
A
Same with
yaw
the brother. Yeah.
Yeah, and like a Yas, but like a Yazda or something. It has like the RoboDrill size Yazda weighs 20,000 pounds, and it's like a fully caged casting, and it has like a bajillion thermal comp sensors on it, so you can go submicron with it, and like it's actively doing everything, or like probably like a kern. You could probably put that machine on wheels, and it'll figure it out. They're just really smart.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and and like Nakamura, the lathe, like they have different thermal comp settings built into it depending on like are you running high pressure coolant, do you have a mist collector, blah blah blah, are you running oil, are you running water soluble coolant, you can like select the setting and it has like canned cycles in it that it can like start to auto adjust. Though if you impart a lot of heat, sometimes the math gets wonky. Like we saw like when in a big project where we put like the coolant was getting up to like 120 degrees,
Whoa.
yeah, it was a nightmare. Melting the grease out of the like this this really wild project at Methods doing fracking tubes in like soup, like the customer was a lunatic, um and he wanted there's a company out of Denmark. I don't think they even make these anymore. I feel like that this project, like their whole thing is chip management, so they built like chip crushers and things like that, and like they have full, like most of their high pressure units are like full building high pressure units where like it's a huge thing, and then like so you plumb to all the machines and you deadhead the pump kind of thing like a brother, and then you just turn the valve on and it's like goes.
Right.
Like Rolls Royce down in Texas has these, and like their whole chip management, like there's no coolant tanks, it just drops to the floor and then recycles everything and stuff like that, like super high dollar shit. So this guy wanted one of those units on a machine, and and
What?
yeah, and that unit had like two 20 kilowatt motors on it. And so you have like, you take like 100, 200 gallons of coolant, you put like two 20 kilowatt motors on it running full bore. Like there's just no place for the heat to go.
Right, and it's
And
just
so,
deadheading a lot of the time
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah. Well, they eventually put, what are they? Gosh, VDUs or whatever on them to variable.
Drive
Uh,
unit or something?
yeah, yeah. So I'm messing it up, but like essentially, like you put this on, you wire it in so like it only works as much as it needs to work, and like they basically went from being like so loud they make your ears bleed to like, is this thing even fucking running? Because it was way too much. Um, but what we saw when the temperature, like we would run it for so long before we got chillers, and you would see because of the thermal comp, e- every time it was a linear 5 parts. It would go. You'd see the measurement like tank like a couple thou and then stabilize every time. You turn the machine off, you let it sit, don't change the insert, you just fire it back up, same thing. And like it was like um it was really interesting to see like how thermal comp, like if you can fuck with it, because I mean it can only do so much. But on
Right.
that note, Nakamura has like a function and like a thing where like they will put a memory card in your machine and like and just collect like tens of thousands of points of data while you're running like for an entire day, and they take that and they plug it into a spreadsheet and they get your machine's thermal comp to like rewire, like to like redo like the algorithm for the sensors
Oh,
and
wow.
stuff. They there was an entire like Nakamura about 5 or 6 years ago took an entire year and did zero machine design. It was all software, like, which is crazy, right? And like, it was a fucking brilliant idea because like they came out with some really cool shit as a result. Um, I mean, other than that, I mean, probing's awesome. Uh,
Yeah.
and like you can kind of probe your way out of thermal comp issues a little bit. Um, uh, it's it's something to monitor on 5 axis machines. Like use your G68.2, your tilted work planes. Don't program from center of rotation if you can get around it. You kind of turn. I think you kind of turn your ability to um you turn the machine's ability to like really bring thermal comp into the tilted work planes equation if you program from center of rotation, because you're not, especially, and if you're not probing your part, like if things are moving like and you program center of rotation, you never really find out how it's moving and you don't give the machine a chance to adjust it. That's
Makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
uh yeah, that's all I got. That's my short answer there. uh,
Yeah, I don't have much to say I mean, I use it all the time. For the kind of work I'm doing, it just makes sense. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I don't need to I don't need to trust anything is where it is. I just make sure it is where it is. That's
Yeah.
like,
Boop boop boop, done,
yeah.
let's go baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care if the whole position is, like, plus or minus, like, a quarter inch. Like, I'm still gonna probe and just make sure it's where it's
Yeah,
supposed to be, like,
yeah.
because it
Here
is.
here we go. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome. It's the best. Like any machine, like the machine, some of the machine I was working on in Massachusetts didn't have a probe, and I was like, and like none of the machines had probes, and some of the stuff they're doing is like, it's like they were doing final machining for brazements, like for a 46 piece brazement that is now like at the final stage post brazing in like I guess it's still in T6, but um like it's you know $16,000 part that like, well, scrapped it because the fucking the countersink's too big.
Right.
Whoops.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oopsies.
Yeah, my last job, I got there, and they were just, like, not using the probes at all, except for in, like, one machine for one part. And I was
Yeah.
like, I found them in a drawer for, like, some of the machines. I was like, "Why are we not using these.
Yeah,
You paid for them, like,
yeah.
put
Let's
them
get
back in the machine.
it fucking going, baby. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Probably Pete asked, "Could you guys discuss some of the ROI decision making that goes into fixturing, automating a run of parts? Where is the break even on cycle times, quantities, etc.?" So I think you're gonna have to take this one because
Yeah.
I make
I
5 parts at a
uh,
time.
yeah. And that's something it's I think it's a big philosophical discussion because, like, I think you could automate, you know? That's my opinion is, like, everybody has the ability to automate. It's just, like, how much time do you wanna build like, do you wanna spend building your system to do the automation? And I think it I think it's more so, like, making a fixture for, like, the kind of taking the cherry picking, like, the easy part of that is, like, making a fixture really depends on how much you wanna struggle. You know? Like, with a five-piece run, maybe you don't wanna make a fixture, but, like, as we have discussed previously, like, sometimes you're 15 operations into a 2-op part because you didn't wanna make the fixture, and you're like, "Oh, I can just do this and that," and, like, you're just beating your head against the wall, and then you eventually make the fixture, it takes 2 hours, and you're like, "Well, I why didn't I do that from the beginning?" I mean, especially, like, if the part's not, like, 1,000,000 inches, like, square or something like that, and it's, like, this big, like, say, like, 2 by 6, like, and you need a fixture, aluminum's cheap, like, add it into throw it into the quote or whatever
Right.
and
Yeah.
just get the dang thing done.
Well, and, like,
Um,
I've always found that if I come to a crossroads where it's like, "This could work and this will work, but will take time,"
yeah,
anytime I choose the one where I'm like, "Well, this could work," it
mhm,
for sure does not work.
yeah,
Like 10 out of 10 times.
yeah, and, like, that's where you always find, like, um, you I found that path is always best to, like, the way that that will work is still the option, right? Like, that's how you quote it, that's how you do whatever, and, like, you try it. You try the other way once to see, like, "Am I gonna learn something new today?" And the answer is no, and you're like, "Alright, cool." Pivot to the way the
Right.
the way
Yeah.
that
Alright, back to the plan that I always knew was gonna be the plan and I
yeah.
never
This
strayed
was
from.
this was 100% what I was gonna do, always.
Yeah.
And then the automation question is a tough one. Like, Scoob and I were talking about this today. Like, I think we're in the middle of a paradigm shift. I think that's pretty obvious based on if anyone who went to IMTS or saw anything like automation is the future. For one, like there's just a massive skill gap. You're not going to get like it's not going to close itself. So you're gonna probably end up with a handful of guys that are like like us, like young and want to do this, and a bunch of dudes that are retired. You know, um, and labor cost just keeps going up and up and up and up. Like here in the Bay Area, like it's almost to a point like if you're not automating, you're not competitive, right? Like you can't compete with the Midwest, right? Like you have to pay somebody 3 times the amount of money to live here, which is like just how it is. And like the building costs like 4 times more than in the Midwest.
Right.
Like you only have the option. You can try, but like you need to automate
Well,
at
and even
some point.
outside of the Bay Area, you want to pay top wages so you keep
Yes.
people. Like,
Yeah.
you either pay top wages or you have turnover. Like,
Yeah.
it's one or
I'm
the
a
other.
I'm a big proponent for having like a small crew of really good guys cuz like the and I'll get back to the automation thing. This is a side tangent, but like the how many times have you been at a shop or seen or maybe like or like have heard of a shop that's like has recently grown and is just stepping on its own dick everywhere, right? And it's like, "Oh, what happened?" It's like, "Well, it was like 6 dudes that did fucking everything, and they made too much money, and so they grew and grew and grew until it became unwieldy, and then they hired a bunch of assholes to just push buttons, and now, like, these 6 guys can't do everything anymore, and so the fucking company doesn't succeed because they never built any systems because they could just do the work, you
Right.
know? Um, and so, like, if you go the route of automation, which is, I mean, like, it's easy to say, it's quite the investment, especially in like a lot of forward thinking, but now it's becoming a lot more accessible, just like everything is becoming more accessible. 5-axis is easier than it's ever been. Cam and design is easier than it's ever been. Like, I mean, Fusion, $500 a year,
Right.
and you can build like some pretty robust manufacturing systems. And like Fusion's building automation into it now, like where you can program robots and shit. Like that's probably a lot. Like, I mean, I'm sure it demos well, but I mean, you curate the demo, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so we'll see how that goes. But like I like when you automate is it really depends on the amount of money you're willing to invest. Pallet system, you can get a pallet system pretty cheap, like, but and cheap is relative, but like 125,000 dollar pallet system, that you are one that I work with from Rapid Design. Like it does a good job, and like that allows you to like be able to spin up automation with high mix, low volume, and just like fire off programs. If you have like a billion pieces, that's an easy decision, really, right? Like that's, I think, anytime you have like, oh, I need to run like a couple 100,000 of these, and I just want it to be me still, buy a fucking robot, right? Hire
Oh yeah.
somebody or learn how to do it. Easy. Um, like, and the ROI is, I find with automation too. Like, I mean, your ROI might not come on the first job, right? It might not come on the second job, but like maybe year two, when it's like I don't have an operator and I'm just like I'm just me programming parts in my garage, and then I fire this thing up, um, and just let it go, like, and I come back over the weekend. It's like, oh hey, I wasn't here running this machine all weekend. I went camping. I did this. I did that. It's like that's another one. It's like this is a nebulous answer, but that's a tough one to answer. Um, and I mean, and and a lot of machine tools like Matsura MX330, 5-axis with 10 pallets, great machine. Like
Right. Yeah.
you can just like that is integrated, ready to fucking go. Let's make some parts. And there's a lot of like there's a company, there's like quite a few companies that's like that do quick turn work like yourself, that you you have a lot of work, you could just program multiple parts, set up multiple jobs. Like, all right, shuttle this one in, cut it, get it out, shuttle the next one in, cut it, get it out. Hey, Brad, go measure this. Well, I'm going to start working on the next one, you know,
Right.
or the
Yeah.
opposite.
Exactly. Or the
And it,
machine's cutting the next stop fixture while you're
yeah,
inspecting, and then all of a sudden, okay, then I just dump that back into the
yeah.
machine.
And it's just, it's like, it just takes a different way to think about it. Um, and like, uh, but for me, I think it's always worth the investment. There's hardly, I think, if you have the right mentality and you want it, like it's always going to be a good investment. But like everything, it's a tool. You have to use the tool. Like the tool doesn't solve the problems by itself. If I buy a hammer, it doesn't frame the, like now that I have a hammer, that I don't just frame houses. You know, I
Right.
still have to
Yeah.
fucking put the nail in the wood and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
You buy a PG, it's not going to full slot your pocket, but it
yeah.
will make your cuts better. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I was doing some cool stuff. 10-degree ramp at like 110 inches a minute with like a 5 millimeter inlet into a full slot. Like, what? And they're like, oh, it didn't break. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been
Yeah.
trying out that AX FPS from them,
Hmm.
that aluminum rougher.
Yeah.
And like, I won't even go to like the program speeds and feeds they ask
Yeah.
for, like ramping and stuff. I'm like, no, I like my spindle
Yeah.
where it is right
Mhm.
now. Thanks.
Dude, have you ever messed around with Rob Jack and Mills?
Mm-mm.
So I was like, I was waiting for my Frasiers to come in, and they had a Rob Jack, so I gave it a shot. And I looked up the speeds and feeds, and like it was like, oh, aluminum, like it had no SFM. It just said max RPM, just like just max your spindle out, and it'll be
Yeah.
good. And you're like, okay, cool. That's bizarre.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Destiny's the same way with a lot of their tooling. It's just like unlimited surface footage, and it's like, cool,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I got this.
dude. It's like who's the Emperor Palpatine, unlimited power. Um,
exactly.
Oh
Yeah.
god. So I don't think I answered that question, but my answer is just invest in. If you're thinking about it and you can afford it, like let's chat. I'll help you.
Do
Like
you have to ever have to, like, provide your future customers with ROI calculations or anything like that?
yeah, yeah. Like I'm doing that right now. Um this isn't for automation, this is just for cutting, but it's like trying to like essentially justifying the tooling and like what like the cycle time improvement and the ultimate throughput improvement is going to net them and how fast they're going to get it back, which is like it turns out like the first month like with this current project, the first month that they realize profit is or they realize like revenue from the improvement ROIs both the tools and me for like an entire year. Um so it's like it's really a no-brainer.
Okay.
And on automation, yeah, like you go through like, oh, I can get 2 parts in here. Like thinking about the brazing cell, we can get to like I can set up 2 parts. You can get like up to like 6 parts in the system at one time that like nobody had to mess with. It'll like track parts and like it does start to ROI. We're like, oh, like I don't scrap a box. Like that's that $4,000 that I didn't just lose. Pretty good. Um,
Yeah, seriously.
yeah, yeah,
That's killer.
yeah. But yes, ROIs. Everyone wants the ROI. Obviously, it's like, why am I spending this money? This is why you're spending that money. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I feel like sometimes my ROI is just like, am I happier? Like, does this
Mm.
make me like a
Some of
happier
it,
person in the shop?
yeah, some of it legit is like quality of life. Like the ROI is like how much of this, it's like X is cheaper. It's like, but like if I if I factor in like the what does that guy say? Like the time cost of money or whatever. It's like so yeah, I mean I can bake soft jaws myself, for cheaper than buying them. But do I want to do that? No. It makes sense, right? That's instant ROI. Like,
Speaking of that, I'm doing a bad thing this week or this
oh
next
no.
week and having to make my own soft jaws because every single place on the internet and like Carve Smart Direct is sold out of their 1 and 1.71 flippable jaw.
Oh wow.
Like usually for the last 2 or 3 months, they've been sold out everywhere, but McMaster still had them.
Yeah.
And now even McMaster is like 9 to 10 weeks out is what they say.
Well, I
And so I had
guess.
to order stock the other day. I was like, "All right, I guess I'll just cut some. I have the dovetail cutter. I'll spend half a day and just dedicate one machine, and
Oh
Brad and I will, like, walk by and load it and
yeah.
go."
I guess we'll see you down the Proteum Etsy store, ready to buy some soft jaws.
No, I don't
Yeah,
think so. I think they're mine. All
yeah,
mine.
yeah. You're precious, baby.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Oh, boy. Well,
nice.
anything else new in your world? I'm trying to
Um,
think of anything else that's gone on since we've talked.
no, not really. Um, I'm just like right now, I'm just working like a fucking madman just to like stabilize. Um, and it's working pretty well. Like it's starting to come back around, but I just like, and then kind of, oh, actually, I don't think we've discussed this at all, but like starting to get more into product development stuff. So we're building like a barcode scanner. Um,
Ooh, do
yeah.
tell.
So this company that we're at, they asked us if we could do it, and we said sure. And so we're building. It's like a little panel PC, and it's essentially going to be like a semi-standard product, where because like barcode scanning is somewhat specific, and we don't have like a software engineering team to like account for everything. So what we're gonna do for Vitesse is scan their like they use Epicor. We're gonna scan like it's gonna scan three things, which is part number, job number, and then a serial number. off of the traveler, and it's going to put that information in however they want it into the macros of the control, and then be able to engrave, like, it uses the part number to know what part is in there. It uses that actual number to determine, like, oh, what am I what probing routine am I going to run, what part am I cutting, and then it uses the serial number to engrave and stuff. And so,
That's
yeah,
awesome, dude.
yeah. And so we've been like, we get the panel PC in on Monday, should have that hopefully. Like, we've tested the software, um, and it's working. It works really well, like just like a little console program. And so we should have like the panel PC and like a working GUI, and like a working prototype of the software pretty soon. And I'm hoping we can sell like a bunch of them. That's like a big thing that, like, I mean, it's not like passive. There's still a lot of work left, work involved in it, but like being able to like just deploy something and like spend a couple days getting something up and running is nice, as opposed to like having to like hustle
Right. Yeah.
for to do projects. So like, and I mean, like, I've been raising my rates and people keep saying yes. Essentially, that's a good thing too. Um,
That is a very
uh,
good thing, for
so
sure.
that's like, it's just one of those things. Like, it's not this, like, I'm busy. If it's like, if you're too busy, you're what's like, if you're really busy, you need to charge more, kind of thing. And like, um, yeah, yeah, you just gotta dig out of the hole faster. Um, Yeah. But I'm really excited for the product development stuff. That's gonna be that's gonna be fun. Um,
Yeah, that's epic. You'll have
yeah,
to keep me posted on that. I wanna
yeah.
see how that all
It's
working.
it's already gonna evolve once we get past this. The next thing is probe reporting. So these guys do a lot of probing, and they deprint to a USB stick. So we're just like, oh, well, it's like we can capture that and just put it into like a PDF if you want. We're like, yeah, we do want that. And then part of that is like a DNC function also, which is like you scan the barcode and it pulls the program from the server onto the control. Um, and so it's starting to get to a point where it's like, oh, are we like kind of getting like machine metrics factory wizzy going on over here, or
Right,
what?
yeah.
Is that a place we want to be? Like, I don't know, but if it works, then sure, right? I don't know. What about you? What, you got anything new outside of looking for new spaces
Not
and
really.
in a 5 axis? You're gonna put a PO in. What'd you say, tomorrow? Um,
Not quite yet. Besides that, though, no, nothing super new that I can think of around the shop. Like, lots of little odds and ends to kinda standardize. I bought this, like, little drawer unit to put all of our hardware in, and then I was like, "Oh, I'll buy another one," and now I'm gonna stock all of our standard end mills in that one,
nice.
and have a little Kanban system so that when you get past the first drawer and you get past the first division in the drawer, you reorder them, and what's beyond there is, like, our backup,
Yeah,
and that way I can keep them out of all the other end mills, and I know exactly what I have in terms of standard end mills and all of that.
nice. Is it like already gridded out, or do you like do the gridfinity thing? Or
This one is kind of gridded out. I can send you a link to it. It's,
yeah,
Acro Mills makes it. It's like a
okay. Yeah.
metal box with plastic drawers, and they
Mm-hmm.
have dividers in them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's like 20 of them or something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I finally got that and put that in today, and immediately realized I was like, "Oh, I'm super low on 1/16 end mills and
Yeah,
this end mill and this transfer mill. Sweet. Alright, I know what I need to do
yeah.
tonight."
Give me a million up.
Yeah.
Oh,
But, yeah, nothing else super big happening at the shop, just trying to pull myself out of this hole of
yeah,
despair that's been
yeah.
I've been feeling.
Yeah, the pit of despair. Let's go. Uh,
Alright, well then, I've got now the last question I ask every guest, and I have a new last
it,
question that I'm gonna
oh,
be
we get
asking
the
every
new
guest. So,
ones.
first one, what have you been researching this week?
Um, this week, a lot of it has been barcode scanning stuff. That wasn't this week. This week's been a fucking whirlwind. Kind of diving into trying to be a little bit more. more like little stupid Mastercam stuff. Mastercam has like a lot of cool hidden features. Not hidden, but they're just not um like there's like a in-feed profile ramp thing, and it's kind of dumb, but also kind of awesome because I didn't want to like straight plunge into material. 'Cause it doesn't have like just a gentle ramp feature. And it's like, how do I do that? Boom. Got that one. Nice. Yeah. No. I'm still trying to register my car that I bought in November.
What?
Yeah. Um, well, like the dealership in Tennessee keeps sending stuff directly to the RMV, the DMV or whatever
Mhm.
in Massachusetts. And I went there the first time and they're like, "Oh, we send it back immediately. We don't deal with it." And so they did it again. And I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't know how this is gonna work." But I mean, I guess it works out that I haven't been there in like a month, so I don't need it, but I'd really like to have it. Um, I want to drive it out here. Uh, and yeah, not a lot. I'm fucking fried right now. So I guess I've been you know no, sorry. The thing I've been researching the most honestly is like how to find a will to live. And I think and I think I'm
Let me know if
getting
you figure that out.
I'm getting pretty close. I'm getting pretty close. Um, so next time we chat, I'll probably have something there.
Alright.
But what about you?
A few things. So, I don't know if you saw my story when I flooded my shop again last week.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you
That came
see
up.
the follow-up when I told the story of how it happened?
No,
Alright, so man, I feel so stupid doing this.
it's
Alright, so
okay.
that morning, I
This is
had
a
gone
safe
around
space.
yeah, I had gone around and filled all the machines or, like, at least topped them up because they were all
Yeah.
pretty low. And then I noticed that the F600 I had filled to like, I was trying to adjust the percentage up, and so I overfilled it a little bit to where the coolant was just peeking through the
Mhm.
mesh on the chip tray,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, I got the Freddy, sweet." And so I sucked up a little bit until, like, it was at an adequate level, and I was like, "Alright, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna pump this into the other machines," and just not even thinking, pumped it into one of the S700s and then pumped out the remaining half into the other S700. And I'm just machining and listening to music and rocking out, not paying attention. And all of a sudden, Brad just sprints across the shop and is moving stuff out of the way and grabbing the Freddy. I'm like, what's going on? And I look and it's just flooding behind one of them, like just a ton of coolant. And I'm like, I'm not even running anything in that machine. How is it flooding? And turns out I had just, I had taken one that was slightly overfilled and then dumped it into one that was already completely full and just overflowed the thing. And so I had a million people reach out and they're like, "Well, you should get a timer so that when you fill it,
Yeah.
it times out." I'm like, "No, this is
They're like, "I couldn't
you
have
can't
timed
fix
it."
stupid with a timer."
Yeah. Yeah, it's
But
like,
it
I should put a timer on the Freddy so it doesn't overflow. That's a good idea. I'll reach out
but
to Simon, put a timer on this bad boy.
but
Um,
then the good that came out of it was Amish from SS CAD Cam reached out and
mhm.
was like, "I have these smart things sensors and a smart things hub and I have them at the base of every one of my machines, and it will give me a phone alert if it detects any water or moisture." And
Oh,
so I'm looking into which water sensors do I want because really smart things would have been a great thing to go with, but we already have a bunch of another company's plugs and stuff. And so it's
yeah.
like, do I want another app and another base station just for water monitoring? And well, maybe like they're fairly cheap. I'm for $200 I could have all the machines wired up with these. Um, so that was one thing that I was looking at.
Nice. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, it was just so stupid, dude. Thankfully, the Freddy makes cleanup relatively quick
Yeah.
compared to normal. I don't have to just throw 10 pounds of pig mat everywhere and
Yeah.
grab the mop and stuff, but I
Ugh.
just felt so stupid. I made a problem that was not even really a problem into a real problem that required attention.
Yeah.
It was just like one of those days where I was like, "All right, yeah, this is." And that was right in the morning too. I think I had made one part.
It's a
I was
great
like,
way to start the day, dude.
exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, cool, 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 cool."
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing I've been looking up and trying to figure out if I want to go down that route. It seems like a good option, so I probably will.
Seems pretty cool. I'm into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the new question I'm gonna ask every guest, and I
Mhm.
thought of this only because personally I had been thinking about it a lot, is what are you doing to better yourself as a manager or person or leader or anything along those lines? What are you
Um,
working on yourself?
yeah, I've been reflecting on this a lot, just because of my company's kinda gonna be cut in half from the first time we ended up chatting. Uh, one one okay, the other one and they're both kind of me, or not kind of, like, this is the extreme ownership thing. Ultimately, this is my business. These things happen because of an oversight on my part, which is just trying to be more, um, mindful of my guys, like, and how to essentially I mean, it's a fine balance between support and being overbearing, you know? So in the case of automation, I probably should have been poking a lot more, but in hindsight, it's a bigger philosophical thing there where I don't really want to hire guys that need to be babysat, but I probably should also be more involved to a certain extent to make sure that they don't need to be babysat and then adjust accordingly from there. And then also just trying to I mean, it's tough for me to say because I'm always burning myself out, but just trying to be more mindful about burning the guys out and picking jobs that are better suited and being more involved on the customer side so that I can shield them more and things like that. And reworking Asana and our systems and using those things to be able to communicate more effectively and get things going. Um, it's Yeah, I've been reading and in addition to the books that we've talked about, I've just been reading a lot of books, um, to try and I mean, it's interesting. The being more mindful of like sounds kind of this one sounds dumb, but it's like just being really on top of the cash flow situation and projecting it out. Because I didn't realize the transition from being just myself to having multiple employees has still I'm still feeling that. Like I've had one employee now for a full year, and that's cool. And then I had three or whatever up until recently, and that whole situation is very, very just the ups and downs of that, and trying to manage that. We just have to look so much further ahead than when it's just me, and
Right.
being and like
Yeah.
trying to keep the eye on the prize, you
Well,
know.
and even my friend, he calls it his what does he call it? His dirty ratio. So he'll
Hmm.
just take all what he knows is his outgoing for the next 30 days and all of the things that he knows are incoming for the next 30 days
Yeah,
and just add them up. And you're like, cool, I'm positive.
yeah.
Or cool, this is right on the edge. And it's he calls it the dirty one because there are other things outside of your control or
Hmm.
whatever. But it at least gives you a quick health check. Or you can do your dirty 60 days and like just be like,
Yeah.
cool, okay, for the next 60 days, we're doing okay. Like
60 is looking forever out, you know? But no, we've been doing stuff like that, for sure. It's like all hands or whatever, which is just, all right, this is what our monthly expenses are. It's broken down this way, and this is what we should see coming in for money. Um, and hopefully those people pay. Like we built a little spreadsheet uh, that we used initially and then kind of fell off of it as we got busy, but probably hop into it at some point. So that shows like that we put all the money going out into and put the money coming in into when we expect it to come in, and then it just charts it to see, oh, are we going to be okay? Or like if we don't get money here, we're going to dip negative or something. And it's like, that sucks. So then it's like, all right, I guess I'm going to be just murdering this person with emails, trying to get them to pay right now.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about you, man? What's the big one? Cause it's
The
just you
thing I've
and
been
Brad.
working on for I mean, I'll probably work on it for the rest of my life, but there is a psychological effect and I can't remember what it's called where bad things that you do, you excuse as circumstantial and bad things other people do to you, you amplify. So
Mm.
if I'm late to a meeting, it's because traffic was really bad.
Yeah.
But if somebody's late to my meeting, it's because they're an asshole and they're inconsiderate and
Yeah.
they're a terrible person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, like, keeping that in check and learning to really I guess it's just, like, kind of give everybody's a little grace and
Mm.
not just assume the worst out of everybody is really tough,
Yeah.
especially for driving for me, everybody's an asshole and I'm
Yeah.
driving perfect kind
Yeah.
of thing, but it's just, like, really thinking about my reactions towards things that people do that I find inconsiderate and,
Yeah.
like, tempering my emotions for that, it's a tough thing for me and
Yeah.
definitely something I'm working on.
There's a good, I forget, there's a principle, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's like never attribute to malice what you can attribute to incompetence,
Yeah. Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And most people, just when they do something dumb, it's just a complete lack of self-awareness on their part. They're not doing it intentionally.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. They
like
they did it because they're not thinking of you, not because they're thinking of hurting you.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like everyone's just looking out for number 1, baby. Um,
Yeah.
and we're all just doing our best, which is kind of the theme of this episode. We're just fucking trying.
Yeah. Yeah, righting the ship. But, yeah, no, I was thinking about this a lot, and that's what kind of spurred I was like, "It might be interesting to see what other people are working on
I'm
personally and
yeah,
see how they're kind of living life and working on themselves."
yeah. This is one I would have loved to hear, Simon's answer for that question, because when I was texting him earlier, after listening to his episode, I was like, "It's really I mean, it's just a great episode." And he's like, "I hope it's just so different, yada, yada." And it's like, dude, your outlook, I tell people all the time after visiting with him that he has it figured out, you know? He just knows exactly what he wants to do. And he's like, I'm buying a building. They're expanding. He's like, I don't want to, but we are, like because of reasons. And it's like, we could go more. He's very employee centric. He was saying their entire parking lot basically is employee projects. There's a fucking smart car that somebody's putting a Hayabusa motor in, you
Oh,
know?
that's so cool.
Yeah. There's a dude legit when we walk through there's a motorcycle that one of the welders was working on. It was awesome. And it's so cool to see. And it really has an effect because it's like you can't grow infinitely. And do you really want to? And talking to more other business owners, do I want 100 employees? No. No, no,
Right.
no. I just want to have a nice, comfortable life. And I want the people that work for me, if there are people that work for me, to also have a nice, comfortable life and not be stressed out. And right now, I'm like going kind of bringing it back. I just stress everybody out, including myself, and that needs to stop. Um,
Right.
and I would have loved to hear hear his response because it would have been probably just blowing your mind.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just he seems like a such a positive force. Alright. Next week, are we gonna do extreme ownership?
Yep. Yeah.
Alright. It's happening, people. Pick up your copies. We're gonna do the whole book.
What's the next book we're doing after that? I forgot. Like
Pumpkin Plan?
Pumpkin Plan. I think. Yeah. Let's do that. That's a good one. I
Alright, so
think.
you heard it here first. The
Yeah.
next 2 books, Extreme Ownership and The Pumpkin Plan.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. We will
Dude,
be back
this was
next
good.
week with Extreme Ownership. Thanks to new Patreon members, Casey, and thanks to all the Patreon members. You guys make the show possible. Thank you for listening, and I will be back next week.